Good day, good friend. Good day and welcome. I hope you're doing fine. And already I see we have our friends, and one from, look at this, Manchester, England. Welcome. Morning warriors. We are warriors. Hear that, honey? Warriors. Warriors. Fighting for truth and fighting for perspective. I want to tell you something that I do on a regular basis. Today I changed my subject to the Lesson of Tom Brady. Why do I say that? Why do I bring that up? Tom Brady is 45 years old. He is the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now listen to this very carefully. See if you recognize this fact. He is one of the, and you don't have to know this. This is just truth. You don't have to know this, but he is, and could very well be I hate to use this, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, in terms of professional football, the greatest of all time. Now that's one thing about sports. You can say, well, this, music or the Beatles, but that's all subjective. No, this is a different story. Pelé is the greatest soccer player of all time. Look at the stats. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player, NBA, of all time. LeBron James isn't even close to him. Muhammad Ali, not really. I mean, you can argue a little bit about that, but when you have statistics, okay, Tom Brady's 45 years old. And he just lost the playoff against Cowboys or whatever it is. As did everybody else. Virtually everybody else. People half his age, people they all lost. Look at these headlines. New York Post. Tom Brady's career looks all but done. Tom Brady offers no timeline for decision on future. Tom Brady sounds less like he's taking his last snap and more like he's uncertain. Tom Brady, loser. Tom Brady can't end his career like this, right? Blah, 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 blah. Let me explain something to you. I want you to listen carefully. And I'm going to ask you a very simple question. I don't want to intrude, but I want everybody to tell me right now listening. How old are you? Just give me your number. Don't just give me your number. How old are you? Let me get an idea of how old you are. This is very, very important. Because age is this, I don't know, this number thing that sometimes listen, people say, age is a number. Well, yeah. And blue is a color. I don't know what that means. We got 62, 67, 41, 73, 64, 35, 77, 51, 68, 62, 62, 64, 61, 64, 50, 69, 58, 55, 68, 61, 59, 58, 70, 63, 70. I'm honored. 72, 66, 78, 58. I know you appreciate me. I know you get what I'm saying. Oh, we got a youngin', 49. 49's the youngest so far, 51. Who's the youngest? I know you understand me. 58, 67, this is fantastic. Don't kid around your age. Don't kid around your age. 46, 65. we got to look at this thing. If you met, I don't know what you want to say. If you want to meet Mick Jagger, you have to be Mick Jagger's age to have done what Mick Jagger did. Would you like to meet a 25-year-old Vietnam veteran? Well, you're not. I want you to get this thing through your head, and I want you to, first of all, understand something. And you better grasp this. You better understand this. And I want you to listen to me. I want you to listen very carefully, all right? Because I'm going to be your Jordan Peterson. God forbid. Because people need this. Life is a conveyor belt. You know this. Like this. When you see somebody who's 45, Tom Brady will be 65. If he's lucky. There's no... I don't want to bring up gender or race, but that is different to be transmutational. You're that. You're that. But age is a different story. And how you handle this is another story as well. It's one of these things. I don't understand it. But your perception of this is what's important, and people's perception of you. And I want you to do this right now. I want you to think of this with me. I do this all the time. If I'm taking a shower, I'm always talking out loud. I always talk out loud. If I'm driving, a Yugo is a stretch. I'm always by myself. I'm always talking. I talk. Can I give you the first bit of advice? Listen to me. I want you to talk. When you're by yourself and you're trying to work something, I want you to talk out loud. I want you to say it. Don't think it, say it. Why do I say that? Why is talking important? It's very simple. When you have to explain something, you have to put it into words. You have to formulate it. You have to construct it. You have to understand it. When you think something, it spins around in your head, and you think it makes sense when in fact it doesn't. When in fact it may not make any sense whatsoever. Period. It may not make any sense at all. But you don't know this until you try to explain it. Then you realize, I don't know what I feel. Like one of the problems is, have you ever felt bad about something? You feel bad. You wake up and you say, I'm feeling kind of sad, or I'm feeling angry, feeling anxious. Anxious, there's that word. Okay, why? Why? Now, some people may say, I don't know why, but give me my medication or whatever it is. Or I always want to say, let me see if I can understand this. And in order to understand it, I have to say it. I have to put it into words. And then you realize sometimes, I really don't know. Tom Brady, right now, if I could meet him, if I could say him, I'd say, look what they did. Look what you did your entire life. You're the greatest of all time. And all you did was not make the playoff. You were in you were in the playoffs. You didn't advance to the ALCS, LE, whatever it is. Look at these people. It's over. It's through. He's finished. Finished? Why? It takes forever for him to know what he knows. A little bit about football. And I always want you to look at something that you know nothing about. Let me explain to you something about football and why football is important and why I love so much certain sports and certain sports people. Okay? But first, I want to tell you about something before we forget. I want to talk to you about a new sponsor, which is very interesting. You know, flu season's here, and you know that your immune system and that which is there for you is very much dependent on your lifestyle and your diet. And you know, and I know, you don't eat well. Don't feel bad. I'm not trying to be upset. But your immune system is weakened by over 300 or so immunodeficiency disorders, poor diet, lack of sleep, adverse reactions to medical treatment, you name it. Now I want to tell you about this wonderful product. It's called Z-Stack. They've got Z-Stack for kids, Z-Stack for you. And what it does is it has immune boosting vitamins of zinc. You heard that before. Vitamin C, vitamin D. D is the most. Oh my God. That's a hormone. That's not even a vitamin. And nutrients like quercetin. Think about that. What is that? I looked up this. It's very interesting. Quercetin from Mount Sinai there. Quercetin belongs to a group of plant pigments called flavonoids that give many fruits, flowers, and vegetables their colors. Flavonoids, such as quercetin, are antioxidants. They scavenge particles in the body known as free radicals, which damage cell membranes, tamper with DNA, and even cause cell death. Antioxidants can neutralize free radicals. They may reduce or even help prevent damage that free radicals cause. And quercetin also, according to Mount Sinai, I'm reading this, may help against heart disease and cancer. Quercetin can also help stabilize the cells. And this is something that you should take. Simple. Why? Because you don't eat the right diet. You don't. And let me tell you something right now. You know me. I'm pretty good at this. And I eat the best stuff there is. But if there's one thing I know I'm not getting enough of and I have to supplement daily, it's D, D3, D, and also B12. Every day. Every single day. Now, I'm going to give you this right now. Got a special deal right now. You can get off 15% off a Z-Stack for yourself and your kids. Read it. Look it up. That's all I'm going to tell you. Just look it up. That's it. Boom. There it is. And you use that link and you check this out. Because I am telling you right now, my friends, I know you're not eating the right way. I know it. And by the way, I'm not chiding you. I'm not yelling at you. I'm not saying, I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. Okay? There it is, Z-Stack. There it is. There it is right there. I'll put it up. I'll pin it at the top for you. Check this out. And use that code, the Lionel Nation code. All right? Because your health is it. Nobody's going to make you do this. Nobody's going to force you to do this. Oh, and if you go to your doctor, good luck with that. Doc, what should I take? Huh? What should I eat? You know. Why? Why don't you think? Because you don't get reimbursed by insurance. There's no insurance pad for quercetin or vitamin D or D3 or anyway. If I spoke before a school right now of young people and I had to give them advice and you advice, you know what I would do? First thing, remember, imagine this. It's a thought experiment. It's a thought experiment. It's this, what's it called? A Gedanken, what did Einstein call it? A Gedanken experiment. It's what's it called? Just as I thought Gedanken experiment, thought experiment. So I would say, ladies and class of 2023, let me tell you what you must master. And the question you must master is what you consider, or what some people call either failure, which I never call a failure, or disappointment. Disappointment is the number one thing and how you self-motivate yourself. How do you deal with your own sense of disappointment? As I look on the class of 2023, you're going to go out into the world, and let me ask you this. How many of you watching right now have worked for the worst boss ever? A person who not only you perhaps did not care for personally, but was responsible for your livelihood. Anybody? Anybody? Is there anybody? Is there anybody listening right now where you had somebody who had, better yet, no idea of what they were doing? Oh, I could tell you so. Oh, my God. Somebody was saying, how did you get this? By what authority, by what fluke of nature did you get this job? How did you get this? What is this, a joke? Is this some kind of an experiment? How did you get this job? I'm serious. You have no, and especially what's interesting is that in the entertainment broadcasting world, oh my God, you get people. Do you know how many people right now as we speak? Why do you think television, radio, podcasting, cable news? Why do you think? Look at this. D says 7 years of an illogical boss telling me how to be logical. The mastery of how to lead, to be leadership, to implement leadership. Do you know what that's like? Have you ever worked for a great leader? See, they don't get these people. They don't get these people. I've seen this. Nobody ever picks. They always put all of their attention at the lowest level. They don't look at the big picture. See, I would have, if I had my business, I would have people coming in constantly to say, what are you noticing? What are you seeing? What do you do when you go to a place? Have you been to a restaurant, pizza joint, car wash, dry cleaners, anything where the service is not the same? What do? You leave. Do you tell anybody? No. Do you tell the owner? No. You just go. You just leave. It's nothing personal. It's nothing because you don't want to. And it may be beyond the wherewithal of the employer. But I've seen this. It's a combination. I'm going to go back to this Tom Brady. Everybody right now has to say that Tom Brady is done. They have to write this. They have to write like lemmings, like little quislings. They have to march in lockstep with everyone. Tom Brady right now may or may not retire because of whatever. There are people who, what he really should be thinking about retiring is what happens to his head. When you have had your head, most of us have never had your head shaken. Remember, if you shake it, you break it. Not concussion, just shaking it. Just this. The little micro connective tissue, the microfibrils or whatever, that connect to the brain. If it's jarred, every time he hits the ground, every time he tackling dummies, he hasn't had a concussion. Concussion is the worst part of it. That's the thing which people are really going to find out about. And that's something that is another story altogether. But look at what they're doing. After all he's done, see, we're done, we're through with you. Have you ever been told by a boss, sorry, we're done with you. See ya. Have a nice day. Thank you for your service. We're going in a different direction. You ever heard that? You ever work with somebody who's jealous of you? Somebody who doesn't like you from the beginning? Have you ever had that happen? I was talking to friends of mine in law enforcement. And whenever they bring in new people, this one doesn't like so-and-so. And the reason why they don't like so-and-so is for a variety of reasons, such as jealousy, insecurity, or they just don't like you. And instead of sitting back and saying, my job is to be a leader. I don't care whether I like these people or not. It doesn't really matter. Are they good? Yes. Let it go. I worked with people in my lifetime who wanted to change something so they can say, I made that change. They did that. I saw it repeatedly. Have you ever had that? Have you ever had this? It's something I've been talking to so many people. I see it constantly. Constantly. Let me give you another example. This is another example of a great way to do business. The My Pillow folks. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Look at My Pillow and ask yourself the question, very, very simple question. What do they have? Well, you go to their website. Very easy, mypillow.com, but promo code Lionel. Is it easy to work? Yes. Is it attractive? Yes. Do you got it? Yeah, I got it. There it is. Bed sheet sales, percale sheet sales, overstock sales. Go down the list. My Pillow towel sets, sandals, slippers, mattresses, blankets. Goes on and on. Sleep system. And you're just overwhelmed. Like, my God. Save 40%, save 40%, save 80%, save 80%, $39.99. It's just one after another. Beautifully done, perfectly laid out, as clear as day. mypillow.com /Lionel or promo code Lionel. You can get a free gift. That simple. It's just, it makes so much sense. And you can join the, dare I say, millions of people, millions, who have likewise enjoyed the simplicity, the facility, the genius of My Pillow. Please go there. They sponsor us, and we sponsor them. mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. Is there a meritocracy in the world? No. Sports maybe, but not really. Do the best people... By the way, remember, I'm trying to tell this to young people in particular. Do the best people get to be... No. Do the best people get to be in charge? No. Do the smartest people? No. Do you know that your boss knows what he's doing? Nope. Nope. This is something I don't understand. I saw this the other day. There was a... In New York, they have what's left of doormen. Doormen used to be at art. They were the person that in an apartment building, they knew you and knew the family and knew the kids and they were like, it was like an extended family. They really were. And now they kind of come and go. And believe it or not, in most New York apartments, what they are is they're basically UPS clerks. Because of the fact that right now, everybody, when you go to a building, all they're doing is they're just constantly getting in deliveries. That's it. That's all they do. It's the most incredible thing. We used to be in an apartment that on the front and the bottom floor, they had a little closet, and the closet was maybe the dry cleaning would come. Well, today you need separate rooms for delivery, and the doorman isn't a part of being a doorman. He's like at a mailboxes, etc. or something. It's all he does. But the only thing that they can do, the only thing that is critical to most people is, does this person have a personality? Is this person nice? Next problem, try going out into the world and finding people today who are nice. Try finding people in businesses. We ran into a woman at happened to be a CVS. She was so good. I don't know if she's there anymore, but she'd say, "Hey, sugar. Hey, girlfriend. Hey, darling. Hey." Now, maybe in some parallel universe, she might be considered to be sexist or inappropriate. I don't think so. But she had this wonderfully warm personality that I just never saw anybody have. Gone. I would have made her front row everything. She was the only thing that made this place the least bit different. And nobody would understand it. And I will bet you, and I don't know this, but I would bet you that some intermediary, some local, what do I say? Some I don't know what the word is, like division manager, probably didn't like her and probably moved on. There is no meritocracy today. And consequently, there is no meritocracy. You, at the front level, are going to meet people who are your bosses, who also shouldn't be there, should not be a boss, and don't have any particular talent in terms of being a leader or a boss. You know that show, what's that called? My Hidden Boss or Undercover Boss? I never understood how anybody, I don't believe that for a moment. Why are these people with the professional news team? Who are you again? Oh, you happen to be here. Okay. And you have this bad, did you ever see when they had, like, when Phil Leonetti one time appeared on ABC? It's like, what is this makeup? Who did this? Something funny. Hollywood cannot do hair, cannot do fake hair, wigs, beards. They look fake. Hollywood never has somebody smoking a cigarette and inhaling. That don't bother. Don't bother smoking if there's no inhaling. If I don't see smoke coming out of the nose, don't bother. Nobody takes a cigarette and blows it out. Nobody. It's like, why are you doing that? You've got this great actor. You got this great, here's a guy this guy lost his tooth. And the third thing, especially on Broadway, whenever there's a door that closes, it sounds like, it doesn't sound like a door. It sounds like plywood, and it just doesn't sound right. Anyway. But in the undercover boss things, they want to find out, how are people treated? Who's good and who's not? I can tell you stories. That just will make your hair curl. People in charge of millions and millions of potential dollars in terms of programming, budgets. I've never seen anything like it. I don't want to say too much, because if anybody listening, they will know exactly of what I'm saying. And I really don't want to hurt feelings, because some of these idiots are still there. I've never seen anything. Let me give you an example of something too. Let me give you an example. And this is what I want kids to understand, and you to understand, and the world to understand. The people who are running the show oftentimes don't know what's going on. Do you know there's something that restaurants do, which I like? And a real smart restaurateur, whether it's Gordon Ramsay or anybody else, has tastings. They constantly taste the food. They want everybody there taste this. No, it's not that we have sliders on the menu. There's always these new things. You know how they have these new, what do they call these peppers? Shishito peppers, or everybody's got these peppers. All of a sudden. Remember when paninis were a big deal? Now they've got the bowls. Remember the bowls? What kind of a bowl do you want? Okay, and we got the bowls, and then the paninis were big, and then later on there was no gluten, and then later on, poke salad, that kind of thing. That's another one. And they just get into this stuff, and nobody ever sits and says, "Is this any good? Have you tried it?" No, I haven't tried it. Is it any good? Not really. I don't know, but we've got it on the menu. You have no idea how many times it's happened. But a real good person says, "I know what's going on." Businesses don't do this. You know what I always told people? And nobody ever listened to me? Because nobody ever listened to me. It's one thing I would do. When radio mattered, because for the most part now it's not, because there's no programmers. Nobody knows what they're doing. But you know what I would do if I had a radio station, if I was going to buy one or look at something? I'm going to tell you something, and you're not going to believe me. And maybe not so much important now because of apps, but in the old days, you would go to the city, you would rent a car, and drive around, listening to the radio station in the car. Sounds nuts. People say, what? No, just send me a tape. No. You've got to be there. You've got to be in traffic. You've got to feel what it's like to be in Cincinnati or Seattle or Dallas and to hear this guy at this time on this station. I got to hear everything. The commercials, the sound, the sweepers, all of that stuff. The IDs, production. I want to hear it. Does it sound like an old station? Does it sound like a young station? How many times have you heard a radio station where it's nothing but, remember, it was tinnitus. Tinnitus was hi, we're from the Long Island tinnitus. Does everybody have this? Restless leg. You can listen to this. Erectile dysfunction, bladder this, incontinence that. It's like, who's listening to this? You can tell. Why are there so many? Why is there so much? Why are there so much service elements? Why this? Why that? Nobody will do what I'm saying. Because what is radio? Radio is listening. Program directors should be listening to the station at all times. But what are they doing? No. They're sitting in offices, answering emails. They're not listening to they're not listening to the. I remember one time years ago there were these message rooms, message boards, and this one program director never even listened to the station, but just said, "Do you see what he said? Do you see what this guy said? Who cares what he said? There's 4 people listening." He got into that. Some people are just weird. They don't understand the essence of it. What am I doing? What am I doing? Now I go back again to Tom Brady. This is the greatest player of all time. Already you say he's got to leave, he's got to throw. This is the way you treat him? This is the way you treat him? See ya, thanks, goodbye. Because one person writes this, everybody has to write it. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there is absolutely no, I don't know what the word is, but there's no loyalty. It just doesn't make any sense. Now let me explain something to you about this. I've always loved the idea of how you come across something. How do you sell something? Okay, let me give you an example. First, you tell people about this. My Patriot Supply. There's the link. It's very simple. Now you can scream and you can yell, you can scare, you can do whatever you want. Or you can say, no. Look at the average. And by the way, not everybody who weighed in about their age are listeners. There are many listeners who are listening later on or who aren't necessarily writing in. But I get the impression you're a pretty smart group. And I'm going to tell you right now that My Patriot Supply is offering $250 off of your 3-month emergency food kit. Do I have to explain emergency food to you? I don't think so. Do I have to explain to you why you would want to use, if emergency food, if I have to explain what that means, we're in serious problem. Serious. But this particular kit that provides 3-month emergency food kit provides easy to make breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, snacks for one person for 3 solid months. You can get one for each member of your family while you're able to save $250 during this timely sale, which of course will end soon. And these 3-month food kits are in stock and ready to go. And your order ships fast and free and arrives in unmarked boxes for your privacy. So go to preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. preparewithlionel.com. Those who know what's coming are using today to prepare. Are you? Preparewithlionel.com. Okay. Is there meritocracy in the world? No. Sports there is, nothing else. Nothing else. It's the strangest thing in the world. And the message of today is very simply this. Number one, you can never let anybody determine for you your own sense of self-worth, what you feel about yourself, what you feel, not what other people do. You must never, ever, ever let that happen, number one. Number two, more often than not, the person who is critiquing you or speaking to you has no idea of what he's talking about. It's that simple. They have no idea of what they're talking about. None. They have no clue as to the job. They're hired because of I don't know what. And the best is somebody says, well, I've done this before. Well, why did you leave that job? Well, I've been a program director, I've been a news director, I've been a sales manager for really? How many of them? Oh, 15. Why did you leave? Why did you go through so many? I don't know. Do you know what's going on? I don't know. Sometimes production works, sometimes it doesn't. I have seen things, and I'm sure you have as well, where they, remember a while back, maybe you don't, but the McDonald's people were talking about, I think it was, there was a revolt by, it was revolting, by people who were managers in various franchisees, and they told McDonald's, you're getting off into things like McRib and all that stuff. That's corny, that's okay, but salads and whatever, this is not what people came to McDonald's for. And there was this revolt. It was really interesting. It was fascinating. Because there was somebody along who says, I'm going to come and I'm going to fix this. And let me tell you the worst thing in the world, and I've seen this. This is the person who wants to put his own or her own name on something. It's kind of like wag the dog, like I did this. I came up with this campaign. Years ago, I was on WABC, and they spent a fortune, I don't know how, on these ads, TV ads, listening to a heritage radio station when it was great. And it was so big and bold. I mean, it was great. And the ad read as follows. Don't you want to know what people really think? That was the ad. Don't you want to know what people really think? One scene was as follows. A woman's driving in a car. She's got rollers on her, curlers. Cop pulls her over, says, license and registration. And you hear, this has been a while back, in her mind she's thinking something like, yeah, listen, flatfoot, why don't you go back to the donut shop? Or I don't know what. So she's insulting it. So, and then at the end it says, don't you want to know what people really think? 77 WABC. And we were in this meeting. And I did something which I never should do, but I can't help it. Is it self-destructive? Absolutely. Is it problematic? Most definitely. Do people hate it? Without a doubt. What is that? I gave my opinion. Raise my hands. Let me ask you a question here. You spent, I don't know, 50 seconds out of a minute, or whatever it is, and I don't even know what this is. And then at the end, there's this 77 WABC. What is that? It's a radio station. Well, what do they sell? What is this, a mind reading class? I'm hearing this woman, what she's thinking. And I said, I'm going to say something to you, and you're going to take great objection to this, but I'm going to say it. People don't want to know what callers think. They want to know what I think. Do you want to know what Rush Limbaugh thinks? Or what Rush Limbaugh's callers have? Who, by the way, he had no callers. There are program directors. I've seen this all the time. You got to have guests. I had a guy one time who looked at it. He goes, "Ooh, how many guests did you have today?" True. How many guests? 12. Great. They were terrible. I don't care. 12. Actually said that. I said, but don't you think we should, be us? Oh no. No, I want to hear. Da, 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 da. Well, you don't need me for that. You can get anybody to do that. Why'd you hire me? You know what I do. Why do you do this? Well, everybody in the business that I know can tell you that. It's like, why are you doing this? We had a guy one time who said, I'll never forget this. He said, don't ever have a bumper music, either theme music, bumper music that has lyrics in it. What? How many people, obviously, when I play for you, Don't Stop Believing, Journey, you think of Sopranos, that is, you want to hear Steve Perry. Not don't, not the beginning of it. And if you hear a lyric, what does that mean? I have no idea. One time I'll never forget this, we had Ed Koch. It was very, very odd phrasing. But he started off with New York, New York. Radio station, WABC. New York, New York. Start spreading the news. The mayor of New York, Ed Koch, who was an SNL. Sinatra? No, don't want that. Why? Lyrics. Who came up with that? I don't know. Somebody wrote this. You know what they played? You know what? I swear to you. Do you know what they actually were going to... I think they played maybe once or twice. I don't know. But somebody had Long Train Running by the Doobie Brothers to introduce Ed Koch. Are you... Now, this is where I just want to go outside. This is where I want to say there's got to be a law against it. There's got to be some intellectual police that say, you cannot do this. This makes no sense. Who picked you to do this? This doesn't make any sense. People might say, well, what's the big deal? No, the degree of error is so great that you can't do this. I'll never forget this. Gotta tell you one more story. You're gonna love this one. One time I called, it was on early in the morning, and had a program director who was just superb. I'm not going to mention his name. He may not want to be mentioned, but I've had two that were great. Actually, two and an owner that was terrific. The owner used to say, have a great show, have fun, and don't lose my license. That was it. That's all he said. Don't lose a license. Everything else, just go out and just tear it up. All right. So one morning, we're going, this guy, the board operator, the call, and by the way, screeners are the most important people. He says, go to line one. Go to line one, I hear this. Guy fell asleep. And it was just, kept sleeping. Kept snoring. I said, do me a favor, told the guy, pot him up, bring him up, have him as a bed. Just have him on everything. Commercials, guests, traffic. Just keep it going. I want to hear this the whole time. The whole time. Everything. Commercials. You got it? Good. Now, why is that important? One of the things that's important about radio is a thing called TSL. I don't know if they're doing it anymore. I think they must. It's called time spent listening. There was a thing called QM and a thing called TSL. QM was, did you hear it? Yeah. How long did you listen? A minute. We have these news stations that have like 35 share rating, but nobody stays on. News and sports, traffic, weather. I'm in, I'm out. I'm not going to listen. But this, there were people who stayed in their car all day, wondering, is this guy slept the entire time? We'd have a guest on, have a congressman. He goes, what's that noise? I said, it's a caller who's asleep. Anyway, go ahead. What? He's asleep. Go ahead. And I'm making it sound, it was so great. People were riveted. People said, I've never heard anything like this. Is this a rib? Is this a joke? Is it happening? Is it real? I thought it was the most brilliant thing I've ever heard in my life. Because it's Ernie Kovacs, it's Mondo, it's different, it's fun. If I got to explain it to you, a guy snoring for 4 hours and he doesn't wake up. And they're still going. Who's ever heard that? Because radio is structured. You know what a program director said? Or somebody else? You know that, he was asleep. It's like, yeah. Well, he didn't understand it. Salespeople were coming by the windows laughing. They got more. People said, I got to go on this day. I got to get this guy. People were listening. It was all day long. Nobody's ever. But the person in charge of programming, the person in charge of making the decision, didn't get it. Didn't understand it. Now, was this person fired? Nope. Was this it's not a program director per se, but was this person? No. In a real world, it would be. In a real world, but it doesn't happen. And that's my message to you. There's no meritocracy. There's no justice. And that's just radio, whatever, but I think you can explain it. I'm sure you've seen this. There's innovation. Somebody will say, there's a way to do something better, smarter. Every building, every job I've ever been at, if I was the head, whatever, I would say, you save me money, and I'll give you 10% of what you save. Tell me how I'm wasting money, and I'll give you 10% of what you save. Oh, it's like a whistleblower. It's like Quee Tom. There's no fairness in the world. There's no equity. Tom Brady has started off theoretically. He's the greatest. And already they're saying, well, get rid of him. He's an old guy. He's the greatest. What are you talking about? And people just repeat. They just repeat what everybody else is saying. You've got to go out there in the world and you've got to be different. You've got to make your mark and you've got to stand for what you believe in. And you've got to be a heretic and a maverick and a warrior. And you've got to tell people, no, we don't do it like that. We do it like this. You're doing it wrong. That's not the way to do it. It's this. Understand your product. Understand what you're selling. I promise you, whether it's podcasting, whether it's selling shoes, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing, I promise you, I will bet anything. If you most probably have an idiot as a boss, that's just the way it is. Not the best person, maybe also somebody who never did what you did, who doesn't really understand what you do. They don't understand it. They're into some kind of a... And if you're listening, and if you know somebody who's in their 20s or somebody who's out in the... I want you to understand something. Things are really getting tough right now. When you've got BlackRock and JP Morgan, and you've got these big investment banking folks cutting jobs and just slicing them, getting rid of dead weight. When you have a group of young people who are actually coming forward and saying, we're quiet quitting, I don't want to work, I want to stay home, I don't want to come in, I'm feeling anxious, I don't like this, I don't want to have to wear a tie. It works both ends, because I'm sure middle management will say, yeah, well, you don't know what that into. You better understand, jobs are going to get brutal. And businesses are going to be closing. Right now, as we speak, it is reported that CNN is considering hiring a comic. I don't know if it's Jon Stewart. Do you think that's a good idea or not? CNN, hiring as a presenter, as they say in the UK. I don't know if Bill Maher counts, Jon Stewart. Do you think that is a good idea? Do you? Do you? Very simple. And by the way, while you're doing this, I want to make sure you understand that you write this down right now. You better follow me on Twitter. That's all I'm going to say. You better follow me on Twitter. Do you think, look at this, Professor Case 35, welcome. Do you think it is a good idea for CNN to hire, ostensibly, we don't know, Jon Stewart? Do you think this is a good idea? Yes or no? By the way, I want you also to follow Mrs. L on, you better do this. She has the best Twitter channel there is. Do you think so? Jon Stewart, no. Send in the clowns. CNN already is a comedy show. Do you think this is a good idea? You say no. You say no. You say no. You say no. All right. Let me ask you a question. What is CNN? What is it? Don't answer the question theoretically. Tell me the truth. What is it? I think it would have been the best thing anybody could possibly do. Absolutely. Why? What's everybody going to do? Watch it? Talk about it? Argue about it? Complain about it? Abuse it? Insult it? Destroy it? And watch it. It's going to be the biggest thing, and it will, Fox will talk about it. This one will talk about it. Everybody. I don't know if Chris Licht himself thought of this. I would do it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. CNN appears to be going through some drastic changes. CNN Plus lasted about an hour before they pulled the plug. I think it is genius. Absolutely. Absolutely. Years ago, there was a very innovative news person who said, I want to have an anchorless TV station. And you're going to be seeing this. Radio used to call it a donut. They would have, a donut was an ad you would run for, let's say, Krispy Kreme. Interesting, donut company. And in the middle, in the whole of this, there would be Krispy Kreme, open 24 on the corner of Florida Avenue, whatever. And you would put your own little insert, your own little local twist to it in this thing. All right. So the question was, should we have maybe one day one skeleton news crew? And then, what do you think? I think it's genius. Because nobody's watching this anyway. CNN is, now I'm saying, do you want me to give you numbers? I'll give you numbers. I'll give you numbers. I'll give you attention. I'll give you everything you can imagine. I don't know how long it's going to last. And Jon Stewart, when Jon Stewart was at his best, when he was at the end, he was watchable. It was interesting. Then he kind of, I don't know if he lost his mojo. That's another thing too. Sometimes, and I've seen this, people will lose what it was that made them who they are. They kind of get knocked off of their bases. But. Okay? Think about this. Now, very, very quickly, before we forget, I want to tell you one more thing, too. This is really, really important. I have been talking to you about EMP shield. EMP is electromagnetic pulse. An EMP would destroy all electronics that we depend on in today's society. It will change everything that you know of as your world. Some Carrington event that comes across, and it is over. An EMP Shield is a veteran-owned company out of the Midwest, and they've invented a device that can hook up to your vehicle or your home that will protect it against the threat of an EMP. The technology has undergone testing at Keystone Compliance, which is a military-certified facility, and is listed by the Department of Homeland Security. This company has devices that can protect not just your vehicle and home, but your generator, solar system, ham radio, RV, and more. So I want you to take this right now. I want you to listen to me. want you to write this. I'm going to put it up for you. Here it is. This is the EMP Shield, and use this particular link. And you want to see something really, I don't say cool, I say neat. This is neat. This is EMP Shield, and there it is. They sponsor us, and we support them. You see, my friends, one of the things that people forget is, what is it that you want me to accomplish? Do you want to be a news organization? Do you think Bill Paley, I'm reading a great book about Bill Paley and Babe Paley and Capote and all this. Do you think Bill Paley wanted to be a newsman? Do you think Edward R. Murrow wanted just to provide information? Do you think that's just it? Do you think the Stones want to just make good music? No. That's not what it's about. It's about something, it's different. It's the metric. And let me explain something else about meritocracy, and I will lead it. I have seen things. I have seen YouTube channels. God bless them. And they always play a game. I look at something, because there are these I love these rotations. They're interesting. I'd like to have a TV show where you just put it on and it just, all of a sudden there's a channel. They just throw stuff at you. It's like, well, that's interesting. Because I've seen some fascinating stories that they have thought that I would enjoy by virtue of the algorithm. And I've looked and I've said, gee, this is great. And they have 10,000 subscribers. Then I see other stuff which I think is just, I can't even watch it. 1 million, 2 million. So I can't figure it out. I don't understand how it works. And that's fine. That's me. But you got to ask, in YouTube world, it's about metrics. It's about metrics. How many times have you thought, and this is the most important, do you have any idea, and this is really, really important, do you have any idea what is or isn't the quantitative reason for something? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What did Tom Brady want to accomplish? What? What are you trying to do here? What are we trying to do? There was a guy one time who came in and he was a news director, and he said, my job is to double the ratings. He said, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. Because in this market, this is the number one station. Period. Always has been, always will be. You might make an incremental jump, a move. So I got to ask yourself, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to accomplish? What's going on? And one final thing, the timing of something. Do you think if the Beatles had started 5 years earlier or 5 years after, do you think they would be the Beatles? That I do not know. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you so, so, so very, very much. Here's the thing, too. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to make sure you subscribe to my channel, like this, and please, I want to also give you, this is Mrs. L's channel. It is wonderful. Make sure you subscribe to her. She has some of the best, the most insightful, because she is a warrior. Do you hear me? Do you hear what I said? I said it clear. Make no mistake about it. She is a warrior. And I love her, and I love you, and I thank you so much. My friends, see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. As we always end with this particular valedictory, I always say the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Ta-ta.